everybody, it's me, Laura, and today we're going to do the three-part kaleidoscope cane, or the rounded kaleidoscope. So I'm starting out here with a checkered bullseye cane, a simple spiral cane, and a fan-folded Skinner-blend cane. Now the checkered bullseye cane is about 1 3/4 in diameter, the spiral is about 1 1/2, and then the fan-fold is 1 1/4 by 1 1/2 inches in diameter. So that gives you an idea. And then you have the 3 little logs on the outside, the one in purple and the one in white, or I should say the 2 in white, and those are about 1/2 inch in diameter. Now you'll notice those colored logs on the outside, the white and the one purple log, those are not wrapped in black clay. However, the main ones are, and I'll be getting into why that is in a little bit. But go ahead and roll this around in your hands. And this is a pretty big thing. I mean, I'm hitting against my surface, and I am doing this to get the clay moving. This is Kato clay, and I'm using this here because I love Kato when it comes to cane work. But I need to warm it up into my hands so it will reduce down really nicely. If you don't have Kato clay, that is just fine. You can use other brands like Primo and Fimo clays to create a nice kaleidoscope cane as well. So now we're going to go ahead and create our first pattern, and I have this wad of canes all rolled up in my hands now into this rounded like cane, and I'm just going to let you guys know I start all of my kaleidoscope canes like this. I do not start out in a triangular shape. This is because trying to reduce a really large cane from a triangle is difficult at best, and it is so much easier if you can start to create your kaleidoscope from a round cane instead. Part of the reason why I do this is because I want my pattern to be a surprise to myself as to what it will look like in the very end. Another reason is if you put a bunch of canes together at the beginning and not reduce at all, then there is a lot of clay you have committed to just becoming one single type of kaleidoscope cane. And you might not like that pattern very well, so you are stuck with that cane that you may not care for. Yes, you can map out how this pattern looks by drawing it out and starting from a triangle form, but I find that, sometimes that takes the fun out of what the end result will be. It really does. And more often than not, most kaleidoscope canes are naturally gorgeous in the end. So there you go. So instead of beginning the kaleidoscope part really huge, where it might take up half your table and be very unwieldy, I like to reduce my cane some and then set a few of those simple canes aside for another pattern, and then use a few of the ones I've reduced and picked out and put them together where my hand can fit around the entire thing. It saves on clay and it makes it easier to deal with. As you can tell here with me reducing this, you might notice that I don't use plastic discs on the end. A lot of that is because I like to get that scrap clay. It comes in handy for things like Natasha's and other projects. So definitely hang on to those cane ends. They are very useful and lots of fun. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and cut off the ends, the junk ends of my kaleidoscope cane here. And you go about as far in as where the distortion starts to really take hold. And then with that, you could kind of see that's what I've got on the inside there. Looks good. Oh my goodness. Now for me, with this long piece, I like to go ahead and I like to take just a portion of it off. I like to cut a portion of it off and then set the rest of it to the side. The reasoning for this is because it is easier to work with a smaller, shorter cane, and when it comes to creating the kaleidoscope cane, there is more than one pattern you can get out of the original combination you created. So I set aside the longer piece to see what other patterns I can get. And with that being said, you can only ever get 3 patterns when you create this kind of kaleidoscope cane. So here I have now reduced my cane, and I'm using the purple line, which is my registration line on the outside of this cane, and that will help to guide me when I start pressing the cane into a triangular form like I'm doing here by pinching the top and pushing it onto the surface of my tile. So this is where your registration line really becomes very important. Many kaleidoscopes, if you do not wrap your canes in a single color, like I do here, you can more easily find where your cane ends and begins on the outside, but just by looking at it. But if you wrap it like I do, then you need that registration line. I do want to stress also that when you're creating this triangular cane, make sure it's very triangular. You don't want it to be rounded. You want to make sure it's a nice triangle type cane. Now once you have that, I've now cut this in half and you're going to mirror it. Now I like to take my purple, since that is my, my registration line, I like to bring those registration lines together. That's usually my first pattern. That's how I can tell where to start. So that's my first pattern. And then once you have that, you could take that piece and you're going to cut it into 3 sections. And I'm going to cut off my end here just to take off the junk. I don't want that in there. And now we'll just go ahead and cut it into 3 sections. To cut this cane, make sure you use a ruler to get 3 even sections, like I'm doing right here. Sometimes I go ahead and I just eyeball it, but I've been doing this for a long time. But for those of you who are new to kaleidoscoping and you're not real sure, make sure you use a ruler. You can also tell here that once you have those 3 sections cut, I put the pieces together where the purple registration mark is towards or pointed towards the center of your cane. And now I'm taking some white clay that I made of just a little log, and on the inside I took it back apart again. This is why I like Kato, because you can do that so well. And then I put a little centerpiece on the inside, just a little white log. But you can put any kind of cane in the center. So if you wanted a spiral, if you wanted a bullseye, you can do that too. And this will now give me my first pattern in my kaleidoscope cane. So the second kaleidoscope pattern is what I call the reverse pattern, or the connecting kaleidoscope pattern. The reason for this is just like the first pattern, I have the purple registration lines put together, but when I go to mirror all 3 sections, I will place those purple registration lines pointed towards the outside of the cane, just like I have here. And this will then give you that second kaleidoscope pattern. For the final and third kaleidoscope pattern, you will create those triangular pieces again, but this time you will cut this particular cane in half and then point the purple registration lines away from each other. So they're going to be on the opposite side, not put together, but facing away from each other. And then when you go to mirror the 3 pieces, this will give you that third pattern. Here I have the 3 patterns I got from creating the 3-part kaleidoscope cane. Please use this, or feel free to use this for study and reference. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you're thinking. And as always, I'm sending out my biggest hugs to each and every one of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.